So in the Wishing Forward series, one of the things that I discovered is it didn't matter if Jesus was in the grain field teaching or if he was in the synagogue. He was faithful in teaching what the Father had sent him to come and teach. And this really frustrated and infuriated the religious leaders and the teachers of the law. And so they were constantly watching Jesus, trying to figure out a way where they could catch him making a mistake. Jesus knew what their thoughts were, but that didn't stop him. He continued teaching, even on the Sabbath. He was going to do the will of the Father as the Father had sent him. Well, in Luke 6, we are told on one of these days, Jesus had gone up the mountain to pray. And he prayed all night long. He was praying to seek the will of the Father. And when he came down the mountain, he had gathered all the disciples together. And as he was gathering them, he announced to them, 12 of them, that he had chosen to become his disciples. Well, Simon, the one Jesus called Peter, and his brother Andrew were 2. And then he also called James and John and Philip and Bartholomew. And he called Matthew the tax collector and Thomas, the one known as the doubter, and James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon the zealot. And then there was Judas, who was the son of James, and then the other Judas, which is the one that betrayed Jesus and handed him over later to the enemies. Well, Jesus and the disciples then went out down the mountain where the crowds were, and the people gathered around because they had heard what Jesus was doing and that he was healing. And there were those that were sick and demon possessed, and the ones that were possessed were delivered and healed, and people were healed. The power was literally coming out of Jesus. And so they were trying to touch him, because all who touched him, we are told, were healed. May God honor the telling of his word. What I found in this particular story was that Jesus had a pattern that he followed, and that if he had a decision to make, he would withdraw for a bit, and then he would go and be communal with his disciples, and then he would go out and serve. And I realized that that's a pattern that I need to follow. That it's really important that before I try to go out and do ministry or serve others, that I need to spend time in seeking the will of the Father. Sometimes I think it's easier just to go and do rather than to seek and pray. And I love that Jesus provided us this model. I hope that it helps you. I know it's helped me today. Shalom, y'all.